There is a quiet pain many men carry. Not loud, not dramatic, but heavy. It's the feeling of being unseen, unchosen, passed over, not just rejected once, but existing as if you don't register. And if you felt that, this video is for you. Not to comfort the ego, not to blame women, not to feed resentment, but to tell you the truth, the kind that actually sets you free. Here's the thing most men never get told. The pain isn't the problem. Where you're placing it is. Stoicism was never about suppressing emotion. It was about placing your power where it cannot be taken. And if your emotional well-being depends on whether someone wants you, then your power is not yours anymore. Pause right there. That sentence alone is worth this entire video. Because the Stoics understood something modern men are rarely taught. The world does not owe you validation, but you owe yourself dominance over your inner life. Most men who feel devalued are not weak. They are externally oriented. They measure their worth through outcomes they do not control. Attention, desire, approval. Epictetus said it clearly. Some things are up to us. Some things are not. Her attraction? Not up to you. Her response? Not up to you. Her choices? Not up to you. Your discipline? Your standards? Your self-respect? Completely yours. Yet most men do the opposite. They hand over their emotional center of gravity. A text goes unanswered, mood collapses. A date cancels, confidence evaporates. A comparison happens, self-worth shrinks. That's not attraction failing. That's power leakage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Read that again, slowly. You are not broken because someone didn't choose you. You interpret that moment as a verdict on your value. Stoicism breaks that illusion. A Stoic man doesn't ask, "Why don't they want me?" He asks, "Who am I becoming regardless of who wants me?" This is a brutal pivot, and most men avoid it, because it forces responsibility. Let me stop here for a second, because this is where most self-improvement content lets you off the hook. It says, just work on yourself and things will change. That's half true, and the half they leave out is the part that costs. The part that costs is this: you have to be willing to stay invisible longer than it's comfortable. You have to be willing to build in the silence, with no audience, no reward, no confirmation that it's working. That is the Stoic path, not a shortcut, a forge. If every room ignores you, if attraction is rare, if you feel invisible, Stoicism doesn't offer excuses. It offers agency, not shame, but a mirror. And here's where Seneca cuts to the bone. A man who cannot govern himself will always be governed by his circumstances. He wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And here is the uncomfortable truth. Many men who feel disrespected are still negotiating their self-worth. They tolerate what contradicts their dignity. They chase what should be aligned. They overinvest where reciprocity is absent. That's not moral failure. It's emotional underdevelopment. Stoicism demands structure. A man with structure doesn't ask for attention. He generates gravity, calm, selective, grounded, not performative masculinity, internal order. Your silence should feel heavy. Your presence should feel intentional. Not because you want to be admired, but because you require clarity before allowing access. Here's where many men get confused. Stoicism is not withdrawal from desire. It's detachment from outcomes. You can want connection without being enslaved by it. You can desire intimacy without chasing acceptance. Epictetus warned against confusing preference with dependency. I prefer this does not mean I need this. A Stoic man prefers loyalty, but he survives without it. He prefers being chosen, but he remains whole without applause. This is why Stoic men are often magnetic without trying. Because need repels, stability attracts. The irony is brutal. The moment you stop asking, "Why don't they see me?" and start asking, "Am I living in agreement with my values?" everything shifts. Let me make this real. Think about the last time you felt ignored, passed over at work, left on read, overlooked in a room full of people. What did you do with that feeling? Most men either suppress it or leak it into passive aggression, into obsessive checking, into conversations that go nowhere. A Stoic man does neither. He names the feeling internally. I wanted to be acknowledged and I wasn't. That's honest. Then he asks, is this feeling pointing to something I can actually change? Or am I trying to control someone else's perception of me? If it's the first, he acts. He trains. He improves. He refines his craft, his body, his presence. If it's the second, he lets it go. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because chasing someone else's approval is a tax on the life he's trying to build. That is the discipline, not the gym, not the cold shower, the daily practice of redirecting your attention back to what you actually control. Work the body, not to become a display, but to become a man who trusts his own physicality. Sharpen the mind, not to win arguments, but so your thoughts don't turn against you at 2 a.m. Refine your lifestyle, not to perform success, but to eliminate the noise that makes weakness feel like identity. The Stoics believed excellence is silent. A man who respects himself doesn't market his worth. He lives it. And yes, this path is lonely at first. Because bitterness is crowded, complaints are common, resentment has community, discipline does not. But Stoicism teaches you something radical. Being alone with integrity is superior to belonging without self-respect. If you internalize nothing else, take this. Rejection is feedback, not a sentence. Invisibility is information, not identity. Use it, adjust, evolve. Marcus Aurelius didn't say the world was fair. He said you must be good anyway, strong anyway, calm anyway, honor-bound anyway. A man operating from that frame stops arguing with reality. He builds. And that's when things change, quietly. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. Because a Stoic man doesn't chase attention. He becomes undeniable through consistency. And when attraction happens, because it often does, it becomes optional, not essential. That is power. That is peace. And that is the Stoic answer to feeling invisible. If this landed, don't just sit with it. Do one thing tonight. Write down the last moment you let someone else's response determine your mood. Just one. Be honest about it. That's where your work starts. Not with the world changing. With you deciding it no longer gets that much real estate in your head. Subscribe if you want to keep going down this path. The next video goes deeper, and it's going to be uncomfortable in all the right ways. The journey doesn't end with being seen. It begins with seeing yourself clearly.